Alrighty, so you're thinking about starting a podcast and you see all of these different videos, you hear things on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it is, and you're thinking you may have to spend money on a microphone like this one here, maybe a Rodecaster Pro like this, software, things of that nature. Well, you don't have to do that. You don't have to break the bank right away when starting a podcast. You can start a podcast free. You pay absolutely nothing. You don't have to come out of your pocket. You can just use things such as an iPhone, or if you have an Android device, something like that, or even an iPad. Absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything. So I'm going to walk you through exactly what that product is. So let's check it out. Okay, so the product I'm speaking about is the Anchor FM podcast app. Now, again, like I said, that app, you can use that app on an iPhone, or you can use that app on an iPad as well. They just released an iPad version not too long ago. And I actually like the iPad version. Again, this is a free product. The app is free. The distribution of your podcast is free. And the other thing I really want you to understand is, because there's been a lot of alarmist sort of, YouTube videos out there, people saying that, oh, if you use Anchor, the podcasting app, Spotify owns your podcast. No. I mean, that's silly, If I record a piece of audio and when I'm done editing that audio and it's now on my desktop or wherever it is on a, SSD drive or something like that, no one owns that but me. I can put it anywhere I want to. I can put it up on Spotify, through Anchor as a podcast, Buzzsprout, whatever it is. I own that piece of audio. No one owns that. Okay, so here we are, the Anchor terms of service, and number 5, it states right here, you retain ownership of your user content. Using Anchor does not cause you to lose ownership of your content. So, again, the alarmist views you've been listening to or watching on YouTube, forget about those, because it states it right here in the term of service. You own the content that you place on Anchor into their podcasting platform. That is it. So let's take a look at the app. Okay, so here we are. This is just my Anchor app that I'm using for my Behind the Groove podcast. You can check that podcast out up on, obviously, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any place where you listen to podcasts. You can check out the Behind the Groove podcast with myself, Basil Barrington, and DJ Keo. We talk about a lot of stuff. It's a fun podcast, so you need to check that out. So let's get back into the app. Okay, so again, this is the iPad version. I like the iPad version because I have a larger screen. I can do whatever I want to with it, and I don't have to deal with the sort of smaller screen on an iPhone or an Android device or something like that. So here you have your tabs on the right. You can record, you can record with friends. The record with friends is pretty cool because if I select that and then I hit get started, and if I want to invite a friend, I can copy the link and then send the link over to a friend. And then now they're calling up and their voice, their audio is coming directly into the app. Now, I'm not going to try that out right now, but I've done it before and it's pretty cool. It works flawlessly. The audio is cool. You're not going to get any sort of hiccup. So it works out pretty well. And then over here, like I said, you can record here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through everything here. You can record. You have a library. So right here, you can just, that's my library of all the Behind the Groove podcasts here. That's whatever you record, it's going to appear in this library. So as you can see, we have a lot of episodes here, but we're going to come out of there here. And then you have music. Now, this is the other cool thing about the Anchor podcast app. Let's say if you wanted to add some music into your podcast, you can do that through Spotify. It's not like you have to have a Spotify app on your device as well. Let's take a look at it. So if I hit let's go, and then let's say if I wanted to add, I don't know, maybe Pete Rock into, the podcast here. And then I hit maybe one of his songs. Let's go here. Here's one of his songs there. I hit stop there. I can add that in. Let's say if I wanted to add that in. Let's go here. So now the song, as you can see, the song has been added into my entire podcast episode. So am I going to add this as a, background or something like that? It doesn't matter. I can sort of put everything together once I'm done recording. Okay, we're going to go back into the different tabs. Voice messages. So basically, if you have a podcast and you tell individuals to leave a voice comment, you can do it this way. You basically leave a link. So if I go in here, there aren't any voice comments, but I can share a link, put that on your podcast, description, and individuals can then leave a voice comment. So that's pretty cool too. And then the other thing here is you have interludes. So basically, if you wanted to play some music before or after or during, you can play these sort of sounds. They have, a bunch of sounds here that you can play. Let's play a couple of them and just see what it sounds like here. Let's go. There you go there. These are calm sounds. And here's some cheerful stuff. Let's hear. Okay, there we go. That's not too cheerful, but and then you have dramatic and just different sort of sounds depending on the type of podcast you're doing. You can add those sort of sounds directly into your podcast. I'm going to put on my trusty AirPods. Okay, so let's do a recording here. Let's go here. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. I am recording. Everything is being recorded here. I'm going to leave that on just so we can see how everything sounds, and eventually I'm going to stop it. Then we're going to put the whole podcast together. It's going to be pretty interesting, right? So again, like I said, this is a very interesting application, an app. You probably heard throughout some of my sort of videos that I'm not a huge fan of Spotify, but I will give Spotify this. They did buy this company here, Anchor, I don't know, a few years ago for $120 million. And, they've kept this app sort of separate from, the Spotify sort of ecosystem, even though it's integrated. But it's a great app. Again, it's free, totally free, and everything just works out. Okay, let's stop this here. Let's say if you had some hiccups or anything like that in your podcast and you needed to trim some of your audio, truncate it, whatever you wanted to do. Here is a trim button right here. And there's the entire audio right there. So you can trim whatever you want to. And that works out pretty well. This is a very interesting and easy way to create a podcast. But again, just to take you through, let's delete that recording. And then they also have sounds too. So you can go, you have your sounds you can play. All types of sounds. It's pretty cool. You can just add that stuff. If I wanted to add that, I can go here. Let's say if I wanted to go into my library. Where's my library here? It's right here. And I wanted to add a podcast. Let's say if I just wanted to add this here. An episode I added. Let's say if I wanted to add some music in the background or something like that. Let's go here. Everything is there. When this plays, once that ends, then the episode is start. Then I can break that up. You can go in. You can do any and everything you want to. This is very simple. And here's the other thing. Once you're done with it, this podcast can be published to multiple platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, iHeartRadio. This is free. So if you're thinking about starting a podcast, you can do that for free. And then once you, sort of get things going and everything is working out and you see a way that you may be able to monetize this, or at least you may want to just level up. You may want to then get a microphone like this here, or a Rodecaster Pro, but you would still use the Anchor FM application to upload your podcast to multiple platforms. If you have no money and you want to start a podcast, this is the way to do it. I love this platform. The Behind the Groove podcast is on this platform. That's how we're distributing our podcast to other podcasting sort of services, is through Anchor. So I'm fine with this. When I'm ready to sort of step it up, in terms of, add maybe another podcast, because you can only have one podcast with the Anchor podcasting app, or just the desktop version as well. You can only have one. So, if I'm ready to add an additional podcast, then I may move over to a different sort of like platform. But for right now, the Anchor FM podcasting app is perfect for starting a podcast. Beginners, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, this is great. This is a pretty cool platform. The Anchor FM podcasting app, free. It's probably one of the better platforms that you can use to actually start a podcast free of charge. Well, there you have it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, peace.